Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Before you do anything else today, I need you to stop, sit down, and give me your full attention for the next few minutes, because what I am about to share with you has the power to completely change the direction of the years you have left. And I do not say that lightly. I am Dr. Mike, and after more than 2 decades practicing medicine with a focus on geriatric health and longevity, I have sat across from thousands of patients in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. I have looked into their eyes and watched them make the very same mistakes again and again. Small, invisible mistakes that quietly rob them of their strength, their sharpness, their independence, and their happiness. And the saddest part of all, the part that keeps me up at night, is that nobody ever warned them, nobody ever sat them down and said, "Stop doing this before it is too late." Well, today, that changes for you. I want you to hear this next part very clearly, because it matters. A major study published by the National Institute on Aging tracked more than 12,000 adults between the ages of 60 and 85 for a full 10 years. What they discovered was honestly staggering. The participants who eliminated just 3 specific everyday habits were 61% less likely to suffer serious physical decline, 47% less likely to develop cognitive impairment, and reported quality of life scores nearly double those of their peers. Double. And here is the most encouraging part of all. The majority of these people made these changes after the age of 70. So if a voice in your head is whispering that it is too late for you, I need you to silence that voice right now. It is never too late. Now, before we get into the full list, let me give you a little something to look forward to. The number 1 item on today's list is something that nearly every senior does every single morning without a second thought. Most doctors have never once told their patients to stop doing it because it is so deeply woven into our culture and our daily routine. So please, stay with me all the way to the end because number 1 may genuinely leave you speechless. But before we dive in, let me ask you something personal. Drop your age in the comments below and tell me the one health habit you are most proud of in your senior years. I read every single comment on this channel. Your answers inspire the topics I choose, and they inspire one another far more than you realize. So take a moment, leave a comment, and let us build this community together. Now, let us get into it. We are counting down from 7 to 1, ranked from important to absolutely life-changing. Number 7, eating 3 large meals a day. This one sounds completely harmless, does it not? 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It is what your mother taught you, what every nutrition pamphlet still recommends, and what most of us have done our entire lives. But here is what those pamphlets are not telling you. After the age of 65, your digestive system slows down dramatically, gastric acid production drops by nearly 40%, enzyme output decreases, and your gut's ability to pull nutrients from large volumes of food weakens significantly. So when you sit down to that heaping dinner plate, your body simply cannot process it the way it did at 40. Researchers at a leading longevity institute found that seniors who shifted to 4 or 5 smaller, nutrient-dense meals spaced evenly throughout the day showed a 34% improvement in protein synthesis and a 28% reduction in systemic inflammation markers within just 12 weeks. Think of your digestive system after 70 like a smaller engine. It does not need less fuel. It needs that fuel delivered in smaller, more frequent batches so it can actually burn it efficiently. I had a patient named Margaret, 74 years old, from Tucson, Arizona. She came to me exhausted, bloated after every meal, and convinced something was terribly wrong with her. When I reviewed her diet, I found she was eating 1 small breakfast and then 1 enormous dinner, which is honestly one of the worst possible patterns for an aging body. We restructured her eating into 5 small meals a day, rich in protein and healthy fats. Within 2 months, her energy had completely transformed. She told me she felt like she had gotten 10 years of her life back. The practical application here is simple. Aim for a meal every 3 to 4 hours. Each one should contain at least 25 to 30 grams of protein, because after 70 your body needs more protein per pound of body weight than it did in your 30s, due to a process called anabolic resistance. That means your muscles become less efficient at responding to protein, so you have to give them more to work with. Pair each meal with a small amount of healthy fat, like olive oil or avocado, which improves the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins critical for your bones and your immune system. Number 6, taking long, hot showers every single day. I can already feel some of you resisting this one, but stay with me because the science here is genuinely fascinating, and once you understand it, you will never look at your shower the same way again. As we age, our skin produces far less natural oil, the glands slow down, the skin barrier grows thinner and more fragile, and moisture retention drops sharply. Hot water, especially prolonged hot water, strips away the remaining protective barrier of your skin and causes something called transepidermal water loss. In plain language, it dries your skin out from the inside. A study conducted by dermatologists found that adults over 65 who took daily hot showers longer than 10 minutes had a 52% higher rate of chronic dry skin conditions, increased inflammatory responses, and a measurably weakened immune barrier in the skin itself. But here is where it becomes especially critical for seniors. Hot water rapidly dilates your blood vessels, which causes a sudden drop in blood pressure. After 70, your cardiovascular system's ability to compensate for these sudden changes slows down significantly. This is one of the most underreported causes of dizziness and falls in the bathroom, which is statistically the single most dangerous room in the home for adults over 65. The solution is not to stop showering. It is to lower the temperature to warm rather than hot, to limit your showers to 8 minutes or less, and to apply a rich moisturizer immediately afterward while your skin is still slightly damp, locking that moisture in. And for your circulation, consider ending your shower with 30 seconds of cool water. This is called contrast hydrotherapy, and research shows it improves vascular tone and reduces next-day fatigue in older adults. Number 5. Avoiding strength training because of joint pain. This is one of the most dangerous myths I encounter, and it is costing seniors years of their independence. The idea sounds logical on the surface. Your knees hurt, your hips ache, so you rest and avoid exercise. But the science tells a completely different story. Your muscles and your bones exist in a partnership. When your muscles weaken, they place more stress on your joints, not less. Avoiding resistance training after 65 accelerates a process called sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle mass. After 70, your body can lose up to 3% of its muscle every single year without active training. By 80, many inactive seniors have lost 30 to 40% of the muscle they had at 50, and that muscle is what keeps you upright, keeps you from falling, keeps your metabolism running, and keeps your bones dense. A groundbreaking study followed adults between 72 and 98 who did twice-weekly progressive resistance training. After just 10 weeks, participants showed an average 113% increase in strength, better balance, faster walking speed, and in several cases, reduced joint pain, not increased. The researchers concluded that frailty itself, not age, was the real problem. And frailty is reversible. I worked with a man named Harold, 81 years old, from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Harold was convinced his body was simply falling apart. He had given up walking more than a block because his knees ached. We started him on a gentle chair-based resistance program using light bands, just twice a week, 20 minutes a session. 4 months later, Harold was walking a mile every single morning. He told me he had not felt that free in 15 years. Start with seated resistance exercises using light bands or even just your body weight. Focus on the large muscle groups, your thighs, glutes, and back. And here is the synergy tip. Eat your protein meal within 30 minutes after training. This post-exercise window is when your muscles are most receptive to amino acids, and for seniors with anabolic resistance, that timing is not optional, it is essential. Number 4. Relying entirely on reading glasses and never training your vision. Here is something most eye doctors never mention. Vision, like muscle, responds to training. The lens of the eye and the small muscles that control it weaken with age, a condition called presbyopia, which is simply the medical term for age-related near vision loss. Most people just accept it, buy stronger and stronger reading glasses, and assume the decline is inevitable, but those tiny muscles are still muscles. Research found that 30 minutes of daily near-far focusing exercises, combined with adequate lutein and zeaxanthin in the diet, produced measurable improvements in reading speed and visual clarity in adults over 60 within just a few weeks. This will not replace your glasses, but it can slow the decline dramatically. Beyond the lens, your brain's visual processing also slows with age. After 70, your contrast sensitivity, your ability to tell objects apart from their background in low light, decreases by up to 27%. This is a primary reason falls happen in dimly lit rooms. Daily eye exercises, adequate zinc and vitamin A, and better home lighting are all evidence-based strategies that seniors are simply never told about. This is a good moment to pause and say something. If this channel has ever given you information your own doctor forgot to mention, please take just 1 second right now to hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video. It genuinely helps us reach more seniors who need to hear this, and it costs you absolutely nothing. Okay, back to the list. Number 3. Sleeping more than 9 hours or leaning on sleep aids regularly. This one surprises people, because we always hear that sleep is healing, and it is. But the relationship between sleep and aging is far more nuanced than most realize, and getting it wrong is quietly damaging the brains of millions of seniors. A massive study followed over 14,000 adults for 8 years and found that seniors who regularly slept more than 9 hours a night had a 46% higher risk of cognitive decline compared to those sleeping between 7 and 8 hours. This is not because sleep is harmful. It is because chronically long sleep is often a symptom of poor quality sleep, not restorative rest. Your brain has a literal cleaning system that washes through it at night, removing debris, including the plaques associated with Alzheimer's disease. But this system only works effectively during the deep stages of sleep, and it is most active in the first 6 to 7 hours. Spending 9 or 10 hours in bed often means hours of fragmented light sleep that produces none of this critical cleaning. And as for sleep aids, including many common over-the-counter products, the research is alarming. Studies have found a significant link between regular use of certain sleep aids and increased dementia risk in older adults because these medications cross into the brain and reduce acetylcholine, the key neurotransmitter for memory and cognition. I had a patient named Dorothy, 78, from Portland, Oregon. She was sleeping 10 hours a night and still waking up exhausted. She had been taking a common sleep aid for 3 years, and her cognitive scores had been quietly declining. We carefully weaned her off the medication, introduced a strict 7-hour sleep window, added magnesium glycinate before bed, and fixed her sleep hygiene. Within 4 months, her cognitive scores improved, her energy returned, and she told me the fog she had been living in for years had finally started to lift. If sleep is a struggle for you, focus on consistent sleep and wake times every single day, a cool bedroom between 65 and 67 degrees, no screens for 60 minutes before bed, and 200 to 400 milligrams of magnesium glycinate about 30 minutes before sleep. Pair that with chamomile or passion flower tea for a natural synergy that calms the brain without dangerous side effects. Number 2, drinking less water simply because you feel less thirsty. This may be the most overlooked health crisis among seniors in the entire world today, and it is so dangerous precisely because it is invisible. You do not feel it happening. Here is the biology. As we age, the part of the brain that regulates thirst becomes progressively less sensitive. By 70, most adults have a badly blunted thirst response, which means you can be clinically dehydrated and feel perfectly fine. Your body is no longer reliably sending you the warning signals it once did. Research found that up to 40% of seniors over 70 living independently are chronically mildly dehydrated and they have no idea. And does that really matter so much? The answer is devastating. Even mild chronic dehydration in seniors is linked to a 30% increase in urinary tract infections, which are a leading cause of sudden cognitive decline and hospitalization in the elderly. It raises the risk of kidney stones and constipation, it dangerously concentrates water-soluble medications in the blood, and it directly impairs cognitive function. Even 1 to 2% dehydration, which you cannot feel, reduces short-term memory, concentration, and reaction time in older adults by measurable amounts. Your skin, your joints, the discs between your vertebrae, your eyes, all of them depend on hydration. And after 75, your kidneys become less able to concentrate urine, meaning you lose more water relative to what you take in. The target for most seniors is a minimum of 6 to 8 cups of water per day, sipped consistently throughout the day rather than all at once. A practical method is to keep a 32-ounce water bottle visible at all times and commit to finishing it twice by the end of the day. Add a small pinch of salt or a sugar-free electrolyte to 1 glass to improve absorption, and pair it with hydrating foods like cucumbers, watermelon, and leafy greens. And now, the moment I promised you. Number 1. The one thing almost every senior does every single morning that is quietly eroding their health, their brain, and their independence, and that thing is sitting down within 30 minutes of waking up. I know you did not see that coming. Here is what the science shows, and it is genuinely remarkable. The human body has a cortisol awakening response. In the first 30 to 45 minutes after waking, cortisol, your primary alertness hormone, surges naturally by 50 to 100% above baseline. This is your body's biological alarm clock, preparing your heart, your brain, and your muscles for the day ahead. And for seniors, this window is one of the most powerful biological events of the entire day. When you sit down immediately after waking, whether in your recliner with a coffee, at the breakfast table, or on the couch with the television, you signal to your body that the day's physical demands are already over. Research analyzing the activity patterns of over 5,000 adults over 65 found that those who were sedentary in the first hour after waking had significantly higher rates of metabolic syndrome, cardiovascular events, and cognitive decline over a 5-year follow-up, completely independent of how much they exercise later in the day. Cortisol is anti-inflammatory during this morning surge. It suppresses joint stiffness, clears the leftover inflammation from sleep, and primes your muscles for movement. When you sit still through this window, that cortisol has nowhere to go, it circulates without purpose, and chronically misused cortisol is directly linked to increased belly fat, bone density loss, and a weakened immune system. On top of that, this same window is when your muscles are most sensitive to movement signals for growth and repair. We are talking about a 10-minute slow walk, light stretching, gentle movement that wakes the body the way it was designed to be woken. Let me tell you about Robert, 77 years old, from Nashville, Tennessee. Retired for 12 years, he had settled into a deeply ingrained routine. Wake up, pour coffee, sink into his recliner, watch the news for an hour, then eat. He told me he had no energy, his joints ached every morning for the first 2 hours, and he felt foggy until early afternoon. His blood work showed elevated inflammation and pre-diabetic glucose. We made one change. Just one. For 21 days, Robert committed to a 10-minute walk outside within 15 minutes of waking, before the coffee, before the chair, before the television. Then he came back and did whatever he wanted. Within 3 weeks, Robert called my office, and I will never forget his words. He said, "Dr. Mike, I feel like someone turned a light back on inside me." His morning stiffness had faded, his midday energy had returned, and his fasting glucose had dropped. One change, 10 minutes, 21 days. The synergy pairing here is natural light. The moment you step outside during that morning movement, you trigger a serotonin release perfectly timed with the cortisol surge. This combination sets your circadian rhythm for the entire day, improves your nighttime melatonin, stabilizes your mood, and reduces the risk of depression in older adults. Morning movement plus morning light is one of the most powerful, free, side effect-free interventions in all of longevity medicine, and almost no one is talking about it. Now let me bring this home for you, because this is not just about biology and statistics, this is about your life. This is about whether you spend the next decade watching it happen from a chair, or whether you are present, capable, independent, and genuinely alive in every room you walk into. I have watched patients in their late 80s reverse conditions their previous doctors called permanent. I have watched people who could barely cross a parking lot become daily walkers within months. I have watched cognitive clarity return to people who had begun to feel afraid of their own minds. And in every single case, the turning point was not a medication, not a surgery, not a miracle. It was information. The right information, applied consistently. You have that information now. 7 things. Changes that cost nothing, require no prescription, and can begin today. Your body is not betraying you, it is responding to the inputs it is given. Change the inputs, and you will be amazed at what this incredible body of yours is still capable of doing. If this video reached you at just the right moment, if something here connected with where you are in your life right now, please share it with someone you love who needs to hear it. And if you are not yet subscribed to this channel, consider this your personal invitation. We publish new research-backed content every week, made specifically for adults over 60 who refuse to accept that decline is inevitable, because it simply is not. Subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and join a community of people choosing to live fully at every age. And now I want to hear from you in the comments below. Tell me this: which of these 7 habits are you going to work on first? And what is one thing you have already changed in your senior years that made a real difference in your life? I will be reading every single response, and your story just might inspire the very next video. Until then, take good care of yourself. I will see you in the next one.